what you've done, you are worth waiting for, and you deserve the best. And if that person doesn't want to wait for you, they're always pressuring you this or that, frankly, they're not worth you, and you deserve better than that. So to set your standards high. And I think this is the most important thing of all. If you want to have pure relationships, a pure mind, you've got to have a pure soul. That is the key to it, to go to confession. Go to confession at least once a month. Jason and I, we go every 2 weeks. And I really think it was the power of confession that healed me of all of my sexual sins, and I was able to stay away from that lifestyle because there's such power in that. And I see confession as this. Confession is God's mercy. In that room with that priest is God's mercy. And if you turn your back on confession, you run from confession, it's like you're running and turning your back on God's mercy. So to go and get that clean slate. And I tried everything under the sun to stop living that lifestyle. I was miserable, I hated myself, and nothing stopped me. I tried everything. But the second I did this with God, that's when my life did a 180, and I haven't fallen since then. So if you truly want to live out abstinence, chastity, living a life of purity, you've got to do it with God, or frankly, you won't do this at all. And you'll fall on your face just like I did. So give your lives to God, and He will bless you abundantly for that.
Now, where do you go from here? Thank God. So, where do you go from here? I'd say, girls, take off after school, go to a shopping mall, buy a white candle. Let your husband light that on your wedding night as a sign of the purity that you've maintained from this day until the day that he lifts your veil. Some of you girls call it the married life. Some of you girls call it the religious life. Single life, you're called to be a nun. You're going to have the best spouse there is, and that's Christ Himself. But chastity gives you freedom to see where God's calling you to. And if you've made some mistakes, it is never too late. We were at this high school. This guy was talking at a high school, and it was hilarious. He calls the guys up. And he said, guys, he goes, raise your hands if you guys want to marry a virgin. And all the players and all the jocks were, yeah, I want to marry a virgin, yeah. So all the guys had their hands up. And he's like, okay. He said, keep your hands up. And everyone's like, yeah. And he goes, ladies, I want you to look at the guys. And the guy's like, uh-oh. And they said, oh, girls, look at the guys. And next time any of those guys pressures you to do anything sexually, I want you to remind them how important purity is to them. And the guys are like, oh. And he's like, no, keep your hands up, to realize that purity is attractive. And you might be thinking, Jason, look, I'm not a virgin anymore. But ask yourself, am I just a date or am I a soulmate? Am I just a for now girl or am I a forever girl? It's never too late. I know a girl who got abducted in Texas. A guy did disgusting things to her. When he was done with her, he threw her in a latrine in Southern California. Construction worker came, looked in the latrine. The girl's up to her neck, shivering in the human waste. And they looked down there and said, my God, who could do this to a little girl? They lower a guy, a fireman in there, to pull her out. She sees him coming down. She was scared to death, started to take the human waste, throwing it at the guy. She said, just don't touch me, just leave me here. She'd been so hurt, she didn't know who to trust, and she wanted to literally live in the sewer. And some of us have been so hurt, maybe through sexual mistakes, that we think it is just too late, just leave me here. But I stick my hands out and I say, girl, it is never too late. You still deserve the real kind of love. So girl, get up. Guys, where do you go from here? Guys, I would say, I did a poll of 1,400 girls at a high school. And I had them vote on how many of them thought if a guy practiced chastity in high school that would be undeniably attractive. 1,400 of the 1,400 girls said, yes, it is undeniably attractive. It's tough. We were at this high school. They're the best high school basketball team in the country. And after the talk, the center of the basketball team comes up to me. He's like 6'10". He walks up to me and he's like, can we talk in the back? And I'm like, yes, sir, yes. And I went back somewhere. I said, what's going on? And he goes, honestly, man, he goes, I've been with so many girls. He goes, I've done so much stuff. And he goes, I knew every time I was killing her, but she wanted it. I wanted it. Half the time you're drunk, so you can just blame it on the beer. But he goes, dude, how do you start over when you've been where I've been? He goes, I want to learn faithfulness before I meet my wife. I don't want to give her all my memories, diseases, baggage. He goes, I want to give her a clean heart. How do you get that when you've been where I've been? And I said, dude, you've already started. You have that will to love her. That's where purity starts, in your heart, not from your body. I said, it's hard, but I said, you ever watch a wrestling match in high school? And if you're wrestling, and if you get the back of your opponent's head, you can direct his body wherever you want it to go. And I said, it's the same with purity. If you can get control of the way you think about girls, you'll change the way you talk about them. You'll change the way you treat them. And he goes like, dude, he's like, man, that makes sense, but man, he goes, dude, it's so hard in the passion of the moment just to stop. And I said, dude, you know from sports, your body will do what you tell it to. I said, imagine you're married and with your wife in bed at the most pleasurable, exciting moment of your entire life and the house caught on fire. What would you say? Would you be like, oh no, it's too powerful. I can't say no to sex. We're going to die. No, you'd get your Snow White butt out of bed, save the kids, get on the front lawn, because your body will do what you tell it to. So don't wait for the girl to stop. But the greater feeling of responsibility you have for her, the more real love there is. And I will grant you, this lifestyle is hard. But realize that purity is a gift from Jesus. We have to ask him of it, and he'll give it to us. If you want it, as Kristalina said, come to confession. Don't be all vague with the priest and be like, Father, forgive me. I kicked my sister's cat in the living room 7 times, and, I did some stuff with my girlfriend. Priest be like, what? I go, stuff. My girlfriend, stuff. Be specific. It's not like you'll say, Father, forgive me. My girlfriend, I did this. And the priest will be like, you did what? I've never even heard of that. Is that even physically possible? What is that? Get out. No, he's heard it before. And then if that priest tells anyone in the world what you said in confession, he is excommunicated for breaking the seal of the confessional. And you may think, well, dude, I know this priest. I don't want to tell him. You could go to a different parish. I asked a priest once, what do you think of young people you know who come to you? You thought highly of them, and you found out that they made these mistakes. What do you think of them? He said, actually, I have such admiration of them for their courage and their humility to approach confession. I look up to that in them. And so realize to come to confession. Secondly, to come to the Eucharist, which is the fountain of purity. We go to Mass every day of the week because the purity that you get from the Eucharist doesn't take away your hormones, but it gives you love. So become intensely Eucharistic. Thirdly, and this is huge, devotion to Our Lady. This thing is the rosary, all right? It is the bomb, okay? Do you know when the atom bomb was dropped on Hiroshima, you know how many people lived in a 1-mile radius? 8 guys. These 8 guys lived 8 blocks from where the atom bomb went off. The wave of heat ripped through the city, and all that was left of people was their shadows, because the wave of heat would hit you, incinerate you, then leave on any standing structures the outline of where your body had been. It's all that was left of people except for these 8 guys who lived 8 blocks from where the bomb went off. And a total of 200 scientists came to examine these guys, found out that none of them had even been exposed to a trace of the radiation. This last weekend I was reading about a nuclear engineer for the Air Force and Navy said that at the point where their house was, the wave of heat would have been between 20,000 and 30,000 degrees Fahrenheit at a pressure of 600 pounds a square inch flying through the air. They said it is physically, scientifically impossible to survive, and the guys didn't have a trace of radiation. Doctors, atheists, agnostics couldn't figure it out. They asked the guys, what do you think it was? And the guys said, well, it's pretty easy. They said, the only reason why this house is standing as opposed to all around it is this is the house we pray a rosary in every single day. And if Our Lady can hook us up like that, I mean, as a guy, you look at the pornography, it takes like 20 seconds to look at it, then it takes like 20 years to forget what you saw. And for me, it was devotion to Our Lady that cleansed that stuff out of my head so I could properly look at a girl. So we have brought hundreds of rosaries to give out for free to you guys. We have brought hundreds of miraculous medals. Mother Teresa called these things spiritual bullets. You know, married people wear rings to remind me to be faithful. We wear these to remind us to be pure. So we brought hundreds of those, and we got a bunch of other little schnick-schnacks to give to you guys for free afterwards, too. One is I wrote a little book called Pure Love, and so everybody gets a copy of Pure Love. That's going to be on both sides. We also made these little catalogs. If you don't get everything else, there's catalogs here. They got like books and tapes and jazz. They got T-shirts. I like the girls' T-shirts, not that I wear them, but they're sort of snarky. Like one girl's T-shirt says like, "I'm not playing hard to get, I am hard to get." So that's in there. Then we made these little abstinence commitment cards. It's sort of like an ATM card, but you can't get any money out of it, sort of like mine. But you can sign it, you can date it. My friend got one of these in high school. Met him in college. He was in high school. So, yeah, I'll save myself my bride. That's cool. Signs it, dates it, put it in his wallet. Got to my college, and he met my friend Jenny. They fell in love. They started dating. They got engaged. Walking down the street, and his card falls out of his wallet. He's like, ooh. And she's like, what's that? He's like, nothing. Give it to me. And she's like, no. She runs off. And she goes, oh, a purity pledge card. And he's like, yeah. And she goes, I signed one of those in high school, too. And he's like, for real? She digs into her purse, pulls out her card. They put them next to each other. They had signed the same type of card on the same year of the same month on the same day years before they ever met. Now, this isn't a coupon for a husband, but it's a good place to start. So we got a bunch of those. On top of that, I wrote a book called If You Really Love Me that just got published. And what we're going to do is, where's my beloved Shanaina here? You get the first free one. Heads up, that'll, very good, close enough. And since you guys were generous enough to let us tape here, we've brought over 100 of those books to give you guys for free. So that's first come, first serve.